My name is Tarek Shauki. I am a commissioner from Northwest Pasadena, and I would like to be the first to welcome all of you to today's candidate forum for District 3 candidate for City Council. And a few people I would like to thank before we get started. First, the League of Women Voters, who was kind enough to facilitate with the questions, and our moderator will be from the League of Women Voters, and they helped advertise and get the word out. Also, the neighborhood advocacy group, local neighborhood group, that helped put this all together and get the flyers together and get everybody out here, as well as the absolutely the ACLU, who helped us with advertising and getting the word out and some logistics, as well as the candidates. We appreciate that all of our candidates from District 3 took some time out of their morning to come meet and talk with you today, as well as District 5 candidate Mr. Victor Gordo will be here speaking to the crowd. As you know, he is running unopposed, but he would like to take some time to send a message and speak with you briefly. So he will be speaking first. Unfortunately, he had a funeral that he has to go to, so he won't be able to stay, but he will be speaking to you before he goes. And last but not least, most importantly, I want to thank the Side Street Project. Side Street Project, Emily and the group that are hosting us. The Side Street Project is a beautiful organization that reaches out to youth and basically gives art to those who may not otherwise have access. They bus in all of these facilities to the local school district, and they get to do art projects with third graders all over public schools. And really that's kind of the reason that we picked this place, because they are about building communities and reaching out to communities and investing in youth. And we wanted to reiterate that that's one of the things that we expect from our candidates, and whoever gets elected to this position is to remind them that it is about investing in youth and investing in our communities. So we thought it would be very fitting to have the Side Street Project host this and give some exposure to a great organization that's doing great work in Pasadena. So we thank them. And I would actually like to hand over the mic very briefly to the executive director of the Side Street Project, just so she could tell you a little bit more about the organization, because it is an amazing resource for those in the Northwest Pasadena area, and we should take advantage of them as much as possible in the best way possible. And with that, I'd like to hand it over to Emily very briefly.
Hi, my name's Emily Hopkins, and I just want to welcome you guys all here. I really appreciate you guys coming out. I'm glad that the weather cooperated. We're a little bit about us really quick is that we're an entirely mobile, obviously artist-run organization. The reason why we're mobile is because then we can put all our energy into the programming that we're doing and not into a brick and mortar building, and we're able to go into blighted spaces like this while development is being worked out. And then once the development happens, we can pick up and move to another vacant lot. And we're entirely run off of this mobile solar array here, and so this is actually solar powered right now. We teach artists of all ages how to roll up their sleeves and do things themselves. We have mobile classrooms, so this is a mobile wood shop, and so are those trailers that go around and teach woodworking to kids. We also provide support services to adult artists and host artist projects on site. So you can see this thing that's going on over here is part of a installation that's happening. That's an acoustical sculpture. I don't think it's going to be done enough for you guys to try it out today, but when you go in there, it sounds really weird. It's part of a larger project called Listening as a Movement that we're actually going to be hosting. A piece of it is we're going to be hosting a Northwest Commission meeting here on site, which I invite you guys all to come back to, and also Pasadena Art Night on March 8th, I believe. There'll be free buses from here going to all the different museums, and we'll have performances and things going on. And our youth education program is curricular in the third grade in Pasadena Unified School District, and we also offer free community programming here on site, and you guys all are local, I'm assuming, if you're in these two districts. And so we have the schedule for this month's community programming, and actually right now the kids are in one of the trailers making their own campaign posters if they were running for city council. And I believe next week, sort of in the same vein, they're going to be doing mapping ideal communities as the project. And so there's always something exciting going on. Every Saturday from 11 to 1 we do community programming. So, and anytime you guys see a new art installation going up, chances are the art project that's going on in community programming has to do with that. So, and if you guys need anything, just let me know.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Emily, and thank you again for hosting us. One last thank you before we get started is I want to thank all of you guys for being here, because this only works when the community comes out and shows that they're interested. And the candidates, when they see a full house, and from what I've been told, this is the best turnout that we've had in a election forum for a long time. The first one that was held at PCC is the big annual one, or the big one that they do at PCC that's sponsored by ACT and held at the college. That one gets a large number, but after that, apparently this is the best turnout that there's been. And I think that that's a great testament to the folks in Northwest Pasadena, specifically in this district. So please give yourselves a round of applause for being here and for being concerned, and for and for caring and showing that our candidates, that we do care about this community and we do care about who gets elected, and we want to make sure that they know that. And the best way you could do that is by asking them good questions. There's the cards that you could fill out. Please fill them out and ask questions. Don't hold back. The candidates are here to respond to what you have to say. We want to know what they're going to do for us when they get elected. We want to know how they're going to represent us. And the way that happens is by asking good questions. So please, anything that's on your mind, today's the day. You guys are here for that reason, and they're here to respond to those questions. So without further ado, I'd like to hand the mic off to our moderator, Miss Felicia Williams, who's here in the front row. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy your time.
Hi, thank you so much for coming today. The first thing that we will do is we will hear from Victor Gordo, who's District 5, since he has a time commitment, and then we'll come back and we'll go through the rules of the forum and introduce the candidates for District 3. So, Victor Gordo.
Thank you. All the speakers are correct. It's great that people are out here. I'm glad to see so many people from my district. My name is Victor Gordo. And let me just correct something. I'm not unopposed. There is another name on the ballot. My opponent has said that he's not campaigning. He's said that he's withdrawing. But unfortunately, for all of us who've incurred the cost of now having an election, his name remains on the ballot. Having said that, I'm running not because I believe that I personally and single-handedly can change the district. I'm running because I'm offering to work with all of you to change our district. And I think it takes a team effort to change a city, to change a district. We have a great city in Pasadena, but it didn't just happen overnight, and it wasn't because of members of the city council. It's because members of the city council working together with people like all of you transformed our city. And I pledge to you to continue to do that work. I invite you to pick up one of my campaign pieces, and you'll see in that campaign piece that over the years, working together with neighbors, we've transformed District 5. Every part of our city, of our district has seen improvement, and I commit to you that we'll continue to do that work. Whether it was a liquor store on Washington and El Molino that we got rid of and replaced with beautiful housing, whether it was the homes that were refurbished down the street and turned into beautiful housing, affordable housing, and sold to families, or whether it was work on North Lake, and we need to continue that work. I've worked together with our neighbors to do that. I think there are 3 measures for members of the city council. 1, people who understand the subtleties of their district. Again, the important things like a stop sign at Mentor and Bell may not seem significant, but to the people living in that neighborhood, it was the safety of their children, and it was very significant. Whether it was at Madison and Orange Grove, a crossing light that allowed the kids to go to school safely. And so the subtleties, someone who understands the subtleties of the district, someone who has relationships with people in the district are important. Then someone who understands the complexities of a city, of running a city as complex as the city of Pasadena, with the business districts, with the utility, with the fire department, who understands that policing isn't just police officers, but it's libraries and recreation and parks. Public safety is a very complex issue. And then the third measure is experience. And I believe I have the experience in all of those areas, and the experience in my professional capacity as a practicing attorney to address those issues. So I thank you for being out here today. I thank you for your time. I thank you for your involvement, and I respectfully ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Victor. Great. Thank you again for coming to the forum. Thanks, Tarek, for introducing all of us and getting us started. So first of all, my name is Felicia Williams. I'm from the League of Women Voters. I'm a member. You should be a member, too. And I am from District 2, so I am not voting in this election for this district. A little bit about the League of Women Voters I'll go to in a second. First, we want to thank our sponsors. We have Neighborhood Advocacy Group, American Civil Liberties Union, Southern California, and Side Street Projects, where we are today. So the League of Women Voters began in 1920 when women got the right to vote, and the whole purpose was to educate especially women now that we had a 72-year fight to get the right to vote. So the goal of the League of Women Voters is to make democracy work, and we do that by promoting informed and active participation in your government, which is why we're here today. We are a nonpartisan organization. We study and act on policy issues. We do not support or endorse any candidates or any parties. That is why there is no campaigning allowed at this event until after the event. And lastly, membership is open to men and women, so please join. We have pamphlets over here with the League women that are here, and please join the League of Women Voters. So we'll go through the team that's here today. First of all, we have some runners from Side Street Projects. If you could raise your hand, Melissa, Sibel, Tarek, and Cindy. If you have questions, write them down on a card and you can hand them to the runners and they will bring them up here. And then over here, we have the question sorters from the League of Women Voters, Bonnie Skolnick and Sandra Hogue. What they will do is they will organize questions into a similar topic so that I can ask about one topic at one time. We also have some question rules, so they will be sorting through those questions based on those rules. The timekeeper is Robbie Davis right here in front. So she has a 30-second card, and she also has a stop card. So when she does put up the stop card candidates, if you could end the sentence that, just finish the sentence that you're on so we could give everybody the right time for the questions. And next we will go to the candidates. Here, first we have Ishmael Trone. Where's your name tag?
Hello.
Okay. So first we have Ishmael Trone, then we have John Kennedy, and we have Nicholas Benson. And they drew which order they will do their opening statements, so we will go in that order, and then we'll go in reverse order for closing statements. The program will be opening statements of 2 minutes each. And they will go in order that they were drawn. We will have a Q&A session that will last about 45 minutes or so, and that will be 1 minute for each question for each candidate. We will do closing statements at the end where they have 3 minutes each to convince you to vote for them. And we will go in reverse order of their opening statements. The Q&A, once again, if you have a question, write it on a card. The runners will get it. They will bring it up here. Some of the question rules, first of all, only written questions are accepted. Secondly, put it in the form of a question, not a statement. You want your questions directed at all of the candidates, and similar questions will be grouped into categories by the sorters. Please cover election and policy topics only, no personal questions for the candidates. So with that, those rules, we will go ahead and start with opening statements. First, we have Ishmael Trone for opening statement.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Oh, you can do a little better than that. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. First of all, I'd like to thank Side Street Projects and the League of Women Voters for hosting this candidate forum this morning. My name is Ishmael Trone. I am a licensed tax practitioner and notary public and owner of F&M Business Center, which is located basically right across the street on the corner of Raymond and Orange Grove. I have very deep roots in the city of Pasadena. I was raised here. I raised my family here. As a businessman, I understand budgets, finances, taxation, and real estate. I understand how businesses operate. I know how to create jobs. As a community leader, I have served on many commissions, advisory bodies, and committees. I have addressed the challenges that have faced our community for a very, very long time. Nuisance liquor stores, local hiring, parks for our young people to have educational programs. I have been in this community. I will remain in this community. As a board member of the Pasadena Chamber of Commerce, I promote economic vitality for businesses. As a trustee of the Pasadena Museum of History, I work very hard to preserve the rich diversity culture, art, and history of the city of Pasadena. My platform of smart growth, safe streets, and local hiring makes me the prime candidate for the position of District 3 council member. I believe that everyone in the community should be able to live in a beautiful neighborhood that is affordable, safe, walkable, and has transportation to jobs, shops, and to schools. Thank you.
Next, we go to John Kennedy.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is John Kennedy, and I'm a candidate for City Council District 3, primarily because I'm a servant of the people. I grew up in the city of Pasadena along with my 9 brothers and sisters on Hammond Street, not too far from here. I live on North Los Robles in the True Estate. This election is important. After 23 years of having a city council member, it's time for a departure from that leadership and new leadership. And that's why I'm running, and that's why I need your support. This election is about economic growth, making sure that businesses have the incentives that they need to hire, train, and place Pasadena residents. This election is about accountability, government accountability related to the undergrounding of our electrical system, making sure that's safe. This election is about financial accountability of the city, making sure that the bonds are in fact a way in which we can pay for those bonds, because what is at risk are the taxpayers' dollars. We want to make sure that we have the revenue and the resources to pay back those bonds. We want to also make sure that as it relates to debt obligations for the city, that we address that in a responsible way. My family has been a part of this community. I love this community. I went to all local schools. I was student body president at Blair High School, student senator at the University of Southern California, and also I went to Howard Law School. I've worked in the private sector and the public sector, and I'm currently president of the Los Angeles Urban League, and that organization provides jobs, jobs, jobs for our community. Thank you.
Great. Next, we go to Nicholas Benson.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm pleased to be here this morning. My name is Nicholas Benson, as you heard. I don't talk in terms of I was born here. I don't have that entitlement. But I came here some years back in 1970s as a student. And I lived right here in this neighborhood in Orange Grove for 26 years. And then from then I moved to Mountain at the corner. My family was raised in this community too. I sent my kids to Pasadena City College, and now I have my children at the back there. I'm glad to be here. Pasadena is a new city that is no longer the same as it was a few years ago when I first came. This is a multicultural society where we have all kinds of people coming into this city. So it is very exciting that all of us can work together, live together, be able to do things in this neighborhood. My campaign is about empowerment, empowering the community. I'm not telling you what I'm going to do. I can't do anything by myself. But one thing, I'm a leader. I'm not a politician. I know how to gather people together, empower people to do what they need to do in their neighborhood. What I want to tell you, my experiences, is I have been the chairman of the Project Area Committee, Pasadena Community Health Alliance. And then presently I am the vice chair of the commission, Northwest Commission. I've enjoyed working in this community, and I believe I'll make an excellent city councilman because I can listen, understand the problems of people, and work with the people as a servant, not as a boss.
Thank you. That is the end of opening statements. What we will do for the question and answer period, if you could hold your applause until the end so we can get through all the candidates and the questions. So we will go to the first question, and John Kennedy will be answering the first question. So the first question is, what do you feel you bring as far as new ideas and strengths to the City Council?
Well, as I mentioned earlier in my opening statement, one of the primary issues facing our community is jobs. And so when I was helping someone get elected in the city of Los Angeles, one of the things that that person talked about was creation of a venture capital fund that would help fledgling businesses grow. And as you know, in our community, the number one employer of our community is small business. So I want to make sure that there are funds to grow business, particularly small business in our community. And I think that's extraordinary. Also, with PDC, Pasadena Development Corporation, what we had was incubator space and loans. And also with Pasadena Neighborhood Housing Services, my family took advantage of the opportunity to borrow monies from that organization at very low interest. We need to have more programs like that for our community so we can hire our residents and hire locally. Thank you.
Great. So next we go to Ishmael Trone. The question is, what do you feel you bring as far as new ideas and strengths to the City Council?
Innovation, the ability to work with everyone, the ability to represent every segment of the city and the community. We have to be innovative in our thinking in regards to bringing opportunities to the city of Pasadena and to District 3. I have been very successful at that. The Rose Bowl renovation project, I'm the one that basically thought up the idea and concept of having a citizens advisory body to work with the general manager to create local hiring. Because of that, we have increased and actually exceeded local hiring standards that were set at the Rose Bowl renovation. We're sitting in an empty lot right now where the Heritage Square project is slated to be developed. Affordable housing for seniors and commercial space. We're trying to bring the first family sit-down restaurant to this location because there is no family sit-down restaurant in Northwest Pasadena. So we have to be innovative in our thinking. We have to be able to work with everyone as in the community and on the city council, and I'm the person that has the experience to do that.
Okay, next we go to Nicholas Benson. And the question again, what do you feel you bring as far as new ideas and strengths to the City Council?
I'm bringing leadership qualities and honesty and dialogue that will help the City Council be sensitive of what is going on in Northwest Pasadena. The reason I'm saying that is because of this. As you see, for the last 20 years, I've been involved in a lot of groups in this neighborhood. But somehow, when you look at this city, you can say there are two cities. I grew up in a place where one side of the city was doing well, the other side was doing bad. There's a lot of people in this neighborhood who don't have jobs. I've been part of the people who have been approving projects in this neighborhood that when people come. But I've seen that when jobs are being given to the people to build a project in these neighborhoods, our people in these neighborhoods are not being hired. And that is the issue for me. Jobs is very important. I will have to talk to them about what can we do to hire local people in this community.
Thank you. So the next question will go to Ishmael Trone. You'll be the first one answering this. What are your ideas about neighborhood safety, especially for our children, and given the recent issues related to gangs and guns? Ishmael Trone.
We need to build stronger relationships with our police department. I have developed over the past few years programs and events to promote communication with the police department, with the community, young people, senior citizens, and other individuals throughout the entire city of Pasadena. I have been working very hard with the local homeowner associations and the local watch group associations to ensure that their communities are safe. In regards to keeping young people out of gangs, I founded a nonprofit organization called Ideal Youth. It's a summer internship program. We offer juniors and seniors in high school and freshmen in college the opportunity to have internships throughout the summer. They receive a paid stipend. We give them a technology, a laptop at the end, and it gives them another alternative to stay active during the summer versus getting involved in gangs and criminal activity.
Great. Next we go to Nicholas Benson. What are your ideas about neighborhood safety, especially for our children, and given recent incidents related to gangs and guns?
I'm a very strong believer that to change the neighborhood, you can bring as many policemen in the neighborhood as you can. But if you motivate the families, the community itself, to be involved in their own communities, you have a better chance of turning things around. Now, we have a lot of families in this community, and we have seen a lot of children, young people killing each other, even recently. What you need there, we need families getting involved with the police department. Not only that, but being able to bring the churches as well into the picture, because these churches are the ones that are bearing these kids that are being killed in our neighborhood. So I'm able to do all that because I have been the chairman of the Martin Luther King Scholarship Fund, where we give scholarship to a lot of young people. Millions of dollars we've given them for the last 75 years in that group. So I'm so happy that this is a good question at this time.
Okay, then next we go to John Kennedy. Do you want me to repeat the question?
Sure.
Okay. So what are your ideas about neighborhood safety, especially for our children, and related to recent incidents involving gangs and guns?
Well, I happen to have a history, having worked for the Pasadena Police Department and worked for the Richmond Police Department as Deputy Chief of Police for Administrative Services. So I have a background where I've written grants to the local and federal government to bring resources into the community. One of the things that we need to make sure that children have is access to libraries. I co-chair at the Library Task Force for alternate funding, where 8 of our libraries were facing closure. Libraries are a safe place for children, and it helps develop children in terms of their cognitive thinking. That's a good thing that we must do. Additionally, I founded the Pasadena Police Foundation that provided resources for the police department where tax dollars would not pay for certain items that would make our neighborhoods safer. Also, we need to bring back the SRO system, security resource officers in our schools, not for suppression, but for activities that would help the community, that would educate children about public safety. Thank you.
Okay, so now we will go to question number 3, and we are going to start with Nicholas Benson on this one. What are your long and short-term plans to invigorate and bring new businesses to North Lake?
One of my plans is to get involved around a lot of businesses. I have talked to a lot of men who are businesses, who are interested in starting businesses in our in this area. But one of the complaints that I hear from them is saying, well, the neighborhood is not safe. And 2, sometimes we make it very difficult when people are coming into our neighborhood to start businesses. We put a lot of roadblocks. What I will do if I became the city council, I will make sure those roadblocks will not be there, so that people who are entrepreneurs are coming into our neighborhood, they can go in and have businesses in here.
Okay, next we go to John Kennedy. What are your long and short-term plans to invigorate and bring new business to North Lake Avenue?
The number one barrier to creation of businesses is access to capital. I had shared with you earlier that I believe that the city can help foster a private sector-based venture capital fund where businessmen and women put their capital at risk to build our community. That would be extraordinary. It hasn't been talked about thus far. So I'm talking about a $100 million fund, not just for North Lake, but for our whole community in terms of encouraging job creation. Also, I mentioned earlier about a loan fund. We did have a loan fund at Pasadena Development Corporation and Pasadena Neighborhood Housing Services. those loan funds really do not exist today because they were funded by the Community Development Block Grant monies, and you know that they have been abolished. So we have to take resources from the city, at least in part, to spur this activity as it relates to the creation of jobs and businesses on North Lake. Thank you.
Okay, next we go to Ishmael Trone. What are your long and short-term plans to invigorate and bring new businesses to North Lake Avenue?
You know, the North Lake business area is a very vibrant center, and they have been facing with challenges for a very, very long time. What we need to do to make sure these businesses sustain for the short and long-term haul is we need to ease the permit process for businesses to get established in the city of Pasadena. We need to make that a simpler process. Also, we need to find out a way to bring more parking to the North Lake area. People that want to go and patronize those businesses in that area, they don't have anywhere to park. There's not much land in that area for parking to go. So we really need to work hard as a city council to find out how we're going to address the parking needs. We need to invent more incubator programs for startup companies. We need to expand the enterprise zone to go up toward the North Lake area so that those businesses can benefit from the tax credits that go along with employing individuals in their businesses. And then low interest loans, a stronger SBA program would provide them the funds to start their companies.
Okay, thank you. So we will go to the next question. Question number 4, John Kennedy, you will be starting this one off. What do you think are the 3 biggest success stories from the district in the past 4 or 5 years? 3 success stories. Go ahead.
One of the success stories that is really in the community, but certainly right outside the district, is the development at the corner of El Molino and Washington, and that's where we see affordable housing. We want to make sure affordable housing happens here as well. And so we started on a process to do that when I chaired the Community Development Committee here and also chaired the developer selection for this site where we currently are. And the objective was to make sure that we had a responsible development, and we're on that trajectory because the work that I and others started to make sure that we have a development that answers the issue of affordable housing. So when Tom Scott, the former owner of this building, brought me to this place and said we have to do something to develop this community, I think this is a testament now that we've moved down the road and we're very close to creating a responsible development on this site in memory of a gentleman by the name of Tom Scott who assembled part of these parcels.
Okay, next we are going to Ishmael Trone. What do you think are the 3 biggest success stories for the district in the past 4 or 5 years?
Well, you know, I have been working tireless in this district to bring a lot of projects to fruition. As a member of the Robinson Park Master Plan, I was the oversight person that ensured that the field that we see right up the street was renovated with $10 million from the city of Pasadena, something that was extremely needed in this community for our youth, educational programs, and it kept open space for families there. Very important. The Heritage Square Senior Affordable Housing Project, the site that we're at right now, I have been a part of 4 developer selections process for this particular development. I did not abandon it when it didn't go through 3 other times. I stayed steady on the task of making sure that this project came to fruition. Now we're going to have 70 units developed hopefully next year for seniors that live in this community to have somewhere to live. Also, local hiring. I have championed local hiring in this community for the last 10 years and have been extremely successful at it.
Okay. So last one, Nicholas Benson. What do you think are the 3 biggest success stories for the district in the past 4 to 5 years?
I think having Vons in this community was a great success for this community. And I was one of the people at that time who fought with the other people to make sure that building is built there. And then another successful story in this community is just look across right here behind you. You have a beautiful building at the corner. Again, all that is a success story. Now, this project here, Heritage Square, I was there from the very beginning with Mr. Scott. I have been pushing for it for a long time. So those are the three major success stories, and I believe that this will be built.
Thank you. So next we will go to Ishmael Trone for the next question. Many residents in District 3 and in Northwest Pasadena are concerned about the overuse of helicopters and the lack of community policing. The question is, do you support a comprehensive policy for helicopter use and a shift to more officers on the ground? And how will you support that endeavor at the City Council? Ishmael.
Yes, I do agree with the helicopter use and getting more police officers under force to patrol our community, especially during the times of 1 a.m. in the morning to 5 a.m. in the morning, when we have the least number of police officers on duty patrolling our areas. And those are important times. Crime takes place in Old Town during that time, and it takes place in our community during that time. As far as the use of helicopters are concerned, we need helicopters. The noise from helicopters, it's annoying to us, but it alerts us and let us know that the police are actually patrolling our area and are making sure that we're safe. We could look at the paths and patterns that the helicopters fly in to reduce the noise. So it's a matter of working with the police department. It's a matter of looking at the city budget to see if we can hire more police officers during the AM times in the morning. Thank you.
Great. Nicholas Benson, and that is the use of helicopters and community policing.
Community policing is accepted, but the use of helicopters need to be evaluated. Because if you look around, it's not very exciting to have helicopters all over the place and then the people are trying to sleep or whatever it is. I will make sure that we evaluate that and see if we need to do something about it. My suggestion will be to have more police on patrol and then less helicopters. Once in a while we have them, but I would like to see more police in our neighborhood so that we not eliminate completely, but somehow we lessen the noise in our communities.
Okay, John Kennedy, police helicopters and community policing.
I believe I'm the only candidate who has a strong background in law enforcement as a law enforcement executive. I was a civilian deputy chief of police, as I mentioned earlier. So what I would say is, as it relates to helicopters, yes, they're very noisy. I've noticed it myself. So we recently lost 2 Vietnam-era helicopters that are extremely noisy. They must be replaced with quiet technology, and I'm the person to find the resources to do that because I wrote grants for that purpose, equipment for police departments. I also work for the Pasadena Police Department, where I help implement their community policing program and came up with programs that are more in terms of education as opposed to police suppression. That's what we need in our community. So my view is that, yes, you must involve the community more in the community policing, that we do not need loud helicopters hovering over. We must use quiet technology, and there is a legitimate police enforcement use of helicopters. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll go to the next question. Should there be term limits for City Council? And that is going to Nicholas Benson.
One of the things, I came from another country where people, they will become leaders for centuries. And if you try to challenge them, they kill you. Now, I don't believe that a country like this needs that kind of thing. We need someone who will go in. I need term limits. It will help us a lot to keep some new ideas flowing and give other people an opportunity to participate in the government here.
Okay, go ahead. John Kennedy, term limit.
Previous city council members served for 23 years. I believe that was a little too long. I think we need an opportunity for other young people or people with new ideas to come to the city council. So I am definitely in support of term limits. We have term limits in the state of California. We have term limits in Los Angeles. I think reasonable term limits should be enacted in the city of Pasadena. So yes, I do support term limits.
Okay, last one, Ishmael, term limits.
I also support the term limits for city council individuals to be on that city council. It's important because we have a very diverse city right now. We have groups that are living in our city, working in our city, own businesses in our city that want to have their voices heard. They want to be a part of the governing process in the city of Pasadena. So it is very important for us to limit and have term limits on city council members to give them that opportunity to get involved in the progress of the city of Pasadena.
Okay, our next question, we will start with John Kennedy on this one. What will you do to finally get bike lanes on our commercial streets, which the City Council and Transportation Department have promised for almost 2 decades?
As many of you know, when I worked for the city of Pasadena in the various departments, I wrote 3 ordinances for the city along with Nicholas Rodriguez, the then city attorney. So I would simply author the legislation and encourage my colleagues to move forward and adopt the ordinance so it would, in fact, become law.
Great.
Thank you.
Next one, Ishmael Tron, bike lanes.
Well, you know, that conversation came up a lot during the general plan process that we're still undertaking right now. And we talked about not only lanes for bikes, but we have young people right now that use skateboards a lot in our community. So we even address that issue during that general plan process. So hopefully when the general plan is approved, bike lanes will be spread throughout the city of Pasadena, especially in our community. My platform of smart growth is just that. We need a safe community where walkability takes place, not just in certain areas in the city of Pasadena. If you look around District 3, we have people walking our streets all the time. So we have to ensure that we have bike lanes in our community and that we create a community that is walkable.
Great. Go ahead, bike lanes.
I am in support of it. I will definitely work hard to make sure we have that. I believe that in the strategic plan as well as the specific plan, we talked about this in all the time, that we need this. And we definitely need it in this community, like any other places.
Thank you. So we will go to the next question, and Ishmael Tron, you're addressing the next question. What steps will you take to increase constituents' understanding of how the government works and get them involved and participate?
More dialogue, more community meetings, more open meetings with the city council in order for information to be disseminated throughout the entire community. That is the Pasadena way. Pasadenians like to be involved in the process that takes place in the city of Pasadena. The best way to do that is to try to eliminate the closed-door meetings that take place in the city council, especially when we have certain activities that take place in our community where we want information as residents. So, open dialogue, open meetings, more engagement with community members, city council, so that we receive the information that we want when certain situations take place, and for us to be a part of the process that takes place in our city.
Okay, next, Nicholas Benson, participation and knowledge of how government works.
I think one of the most exciting things is that we have neighborhood groups all over this neighborhood. If I became a city council, we will even increase that. We will make sure that we have a think tank, a group of men and women coming together to discuss what is happening. I believe in education, to educate the neighborhood, about their right, the neighborhood about what the government does, that will be part of my agenda. Because when the community is informed about what is going on, you have a better community. We can use our rights to demand what we want. But if we are not informed, we don't get together to discuss what is going on in the city hall. We don't know what is our right. I will have an educational process in the community, people being educated about their rights so that they can feel comfortable to participate in everything that is going on.
Okay, next, John Kennedy. How do you increase understanding and participation in government?
Ladies and gentlemen, in 1 year, utility rates went up 3 times. When I went to municipal services at City Hall to pay my bill, the young lady at the desk said, "No one came to the meetings. Why are you complaining now?" So my response to that is that City Council has a responsibility not just to meet at City Hall at times where working families cannot come to meetings. We need to take City Hall to the people and ask them for input about important issues related to government. Government must be open. Government must be an open process. And the only place where we need to close government is when it has to do with personnel issues as required by law. So I'd like to see city government have workshops bringing the community together, all of us working as one community, solving problems. And the way you do that is you take the government to the people and not have unreasonable expectations on working families.
Okay, last question, last person to do it. Ishmael, increasing knowledge of government and participation.
I answered that. I went first.
Oh, did you go first?
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
But I can elaborate
Oh, good.
on it.
Thank
you know,
you.
we can go
Thank
there.
you for telling me. Okay, so the next one, we will start with Nicholas on this one. We want to keep Pasadena a multicultural city. How can you help low-income families stay in Pasadena and prevent gentrification?
I think actually this is one of the reason I ran, because I saw when I came here in 1970s, there were so many families in these neighborhoods. It was exciting. But all of a sudden, we have lost so many families with children. Now, we cannot allow this in a great city like this. So what I will do is I will make sure we have more affordable housing in our community. And I will make sure I sensitize the government, the city hall, to recognize that we have got to be fair. Justice is needed in our community. Yes, there are those who are making it, but there are those that don't have enough. Every society has those that are rich and have money, but they have those that are low income. That's why I work with Friends Indeed as a chair there, because we want to help people with low income who families. Now our schools are suffering because we have lost families with children. Now I will work hard on that for our community.
John Kennedy, go ahead.
I'm one who does not ascribe to gentrification, but I'm also one who says that the city has a responsibility to provide the resources to help private developers produce affordable housing. And I'm talking about very low and moderate housing, not just moderate housing for our community. That's extremely important. So right now what we have is an in lieu fee. And the in lieu fee on developments doesn't allow enough resources to actually build affordable housing. And with the abolishment of the Community Development Block Grant Program and our project area committees, there's increased difficulty to fund low and moderate income housing. But we must have it. It must be spread out of all developments around the city, not concentrated in one specific area. People live where they can afford to live, and we must make affordability real if we want to maintain a diverse community. Thank you.
Okay, Ishmael Troen, how do we keep low-income families in Pasadena?
Gentrification has been taking place in our community for the last 5 years. I have personally seen it firsthand. Families are moving out of our city because they're seeking better education. So one, we need to improve our educational system so that we can keep these families in our city. Secondly, we need to look at the concept of granny flats, building houses behind the homes that we own. We have parents, individuals that are getting older, they're living longer. So we need to provide an opportunity for them to continue to live with their families. Granny flats would provide that opportunity. Also, the in lieu fee that my opponent is talking about is not enough money to build affordable housing. Land is expensive in the city of Pasadena. Get rid of that in lieu fee. Let's make these developers, not make, but let's encourage them to build or have affordable housing in their housing projects and not let them pay an in lieu fee and continue to build market rate housing in our community. Let's demand that they build affordable housing in their housing projects.
Okay, next question we will be starting with John Kennedy. And Council District 3 is very diverse. What procedures will you have in your office to address the diverse needs of your constituents?
Well, I think you have to start with, while you run for city council, you must have all of your literature translated in a language where the people understand it. So most of my literature is in English and in Spanish, and some of my literature is in Armenian. So the first thing, you must be able to communicate intelligently with the people that you hope to represent. That's what I'm doing. When I'm elected to represent my community, I will continue to do that and make sure that the people who work for me speak Spanish as well, and possibly other languages, so we can have full participation of the folks who live in District 3.
Next, Ishmael Trone, how do you address diverse candidates in your district and their needs?
I am addressing it right now. My campaign has a Latino outreach coordinator who goes around with me to all of my events and communicates to the broad Latino community that we have in the city of Pasadena, and especially in District 3. All of my literature has been translated into Spanish, Mandarin. We have a very large Mandarin population in District 3. As a matter of fact, during my phone banking for this campaign, I found out that we have a large Mandarin senior population in the city of Pasadena, and I had difficulty communicating with them to find out what their quality of life needs were. So I ensured that my literature was translated into Mandarin, and I actually hired a translator to go with me when I had a meeting with a lot of the Mandarin senior citizens, so that I could communicate and have dialogue with them. So you have to come with innovative techniques right now to ensure that you can represent every segment of District 3.
Okay, Nicholas Benson, addressing a diverse constituent base.
I speak 7 languages. Within those languages, I speak even Spanish. The reason why is because I believe very strongly in multicultural societies, because I realize that as we go on the 21st century moving forward, this community will become and will continue to be a multicultural society. Therefore, in my campaign, I will have a representative who is a Hispanic and have someone who speaks English, so that we can cover all those bases, because it's so vital. A lot of us, when we look at other people from other countries, we look at other migrants, we look at them as liability. I look at them as an asset. Being a multicultural society is fantastic, because we are all coming from all backgrounds.
Okay, so the next question we will have Ishmael Trone start out. Side Street Projects, which is where we are today, is part of Art Night Pasadena. When was the last time you attended Art Night Pasadena? And when the budget is tight, how much of it should support the arts like it's been for the past couple of years? Ishmael.
The arts in the city of Pasadena is extremely important. And as a trustee of the Pasadena Museum of History, I work very hard to ensure that art is spread out throughout the entire city of Pasadena. I attend Art Night every single year. Not only do I attend the art nights every year, I have interns that pretty much work at every venue where the art is actually displayed, from the Armory to all the museums in the city of Pasadena. As far as providing funds for the art night, when the city has a tight budget, I would have to work with the other city council members, advocate for art night to continue, seek grants that could be out there to help fund the art night, because art in our public school system is important. It's important in our community, and this community especially, since we have a 1% set aside for public art on projects that are developed in our community, we need to be educated on public art and gain appreciation for it.
Okay. Nicholas Benson, when was the last time you attended Art Night, and what do you think art should be in the budget?
I believe that it should be in the budget. And I'm a strong supporter of the Art Night. And when they come before the commission, I'm supporting them. I've been supporting them ever since. I believe that it's something that our children needs. I have children. My children enjoy going to the Art Nights. And therefore, I will be standing there supporting them, and I will make sure there is money set aside to support the art in this community.
Okay, last, John Kennedy, when was the last time you attended Art Night, and what do you think of the arts in the budget?
I have not attended Art Night. My family has participated in Art Night. My sister, as you know, is on the Pasadena Arts Council, is also on the Armory of the Arts, and I have supported both of those programs with my resources and with my talents. As it relates to City Council, one of the responsibilities is to make sure that you can count to 5, and I think with my history of bringing diverse groups together, diverse interests together, that we can find the resources necessary to provide additional funding for art, not just here, but around the city in terms of public art. As one of my colleagues had mentioned, 1% set aside related to the creation of art. We have art on various corners. You see art at Sunset and Mountain. You see art at Marengo and Washington. You see art at Glenn and Washington. That's all funded by the resources that were alluded to earlier. So I would support additional funding for art. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. The next question, we will be starting with Nicholas Benson. As you know, we're doing a general plan update of certain elements of the general plan. What do you think is District 3's greatest opportunity in this update? What do you think are the greatest risks for District 3 in the update?
Well, repeat the question one more time.
Sure. So with the general plan update that's going on right now, what do you think are the greatest opportunities here for District 3 in that update? And then what do you think are the greatest risks that you need to protect for District 3 as well?
Thank you. I went to the meeting. I went to most of the meetings that they've had in the community to listen what is taking place on the update. One of the things that I strongly supported and raised some issues was make sure that in that update, low income and low affordable housing is one of the most important things in that update. And I went to different meetings to make sure that is done, because that is the danger if we are not going to include that in there. Now, I recognize that in all the meetings that they were being held in different places, some other segment of the community did not attend, but I was there to listen. So I want to make sure that we protect the idea of having low-income housing in this neighborhood here. It's very important for us.
Okay, next, John Kennedy, what are our opportunities for District 3 in the general plan update, and what are some of the risks?
I think the single most important opportunity for us as a community, and specifically related to District 3, is that we move the threshold of 15,000 square feet to build a second unit on a property to something that's more reasonable. And something that's more reasonable is about 10,000 square feet. That would immediately have an appreciable impact on what some have referred to gentrification. I will simply call affordability index, so we can make sure that we are building affordable housing. So let me repeat it again. Right now, the threshold is 15,000 square feet in order to build a second unit. I would reduce that to 10,000 square feet. Immediately, you would see increased development by private landowners that would add to the affordable housing stock in this community. And lastly, we need to fully fund our low and moderate income housing trust funds that exist in the city of Pasadena.
Okay, Ishmael Trone, greatest opportunities for the general plan update and some of the risks.
The greatest opportunity for the general plan for District 3 is to understand that it is a 20-year vision on how we're going to develop our neighborhoods and our communities. We need to infuse smart growth practices, walkability, economic development for the creation of jobs, affordable housing. The general plan is addressing all of those issues. And for District 3, it is a benefit for us to get this general plan approved, speed up the process so that we can start the development that is needed in our district.
Okay. So next question, we will start off with John Kennedy. What is your experience with guns, and how does that influence your position on gun control?
I really don't have a lot of experience with guns, but what I would say about guns is that we must produce more restrictions, government restrictions related to the use of guns, and particularly guns where they have huge clips, ammunition clips. We started a process in the city of Pasadena years ago under Jerry Oliver to make sure that we identified each ammunition or the casing that ammunition has so we could tie that back to the actual shooter in a crime. And so that's one thing that we started, but we must do more. I think everyone has a right, if they are have gone through their background check, to have a gun, but I don't believe everyone has a right to have the large clips that have been killing folks, and that's an example of that was in Newtown. So reasonable restrictions on gun use is appropriate, and I would support that.
Okay, next, Ishmael Trone, what is your gun experience, and how does that influence your positions on gun control?
Well, you know, gun control is being discussed on a national level right now. The Obama administration is actually working on legislation to prohibit the sales of certain types of guns. Even our state legislator in the state of California is working on legislation right now to prohibit the sales of guns and ammunition near schools and youth facilities, which is very important. I didn't know Johnny's Sporting Good right here on Lincoln, down the street from John Muir, was selling guns and ammunition. I was really surprised about that. We need stricter laws on individuals purchasing guns. We need more training programs for individuals to have training prior to purchasing guns. And we need to possibly raise the age limit for individuals who can purchase guns. So we need to come up with stricter laws, and we need to continue this dialogue of gun control in the city of Pasadena.
Okay, lastly, Nicholas Benson, what is your gun experience, and how does that influence your position on gun control?
Well, I do have experience with guns, but I believe that the people have the right to own guns, those that are responsible to protect themselves and their families. But I would not just give guns to everybody, because we have a lot of people in our society who are mentally challenged. It's not good to give them guns. I happen to have a business where I keep men who come out of prison. I wouldn't allow them to have guns. The police come every time to check if they have guns. So I will have some very strict rules who gets the guns. But as a as a general rule, it's okay for people to own guns to protect themselves with their families.
Okay. So the next question, we will start with Ishmael Trone. Are you... we start with John.
Huh? I didn't say anything.
Okay. So are you in favor of more affordable housing, or do you think it's better to build mixed income housing for economic stability?
I am definitely in favor of affordable housing. I'm also in favor of mixed uses. It's important, especially along the transit stations where the goal line is. Mixed uses provide a variety of benefits for individuals that live in certain parts of our city. I believe in walkability. I believe that the city of Pasadena is going to grow into a city to where individuals can drive to our city, park their cars, and be able to travel around our city without having the dependency on vehicles. So yes, I agree with affordable housing. I agree with mixed-use development. I think it's the wave of the future for our city.
Okay, Nicholas Benson, the question is, are you in favor of more affordable housing or mixed income housing to address our economic stability?
I'll answer that without being redundant. I'm in favor of mixed-used housing as well as low-income housing. I'm in favor of that.
Okay. And then John Kennedy, affordable housing versus mixed income housing.
I think I've made it very clear this afternoon, that I am a strong proponent of affordable housing. And as it relates to mixed-use housing related to incomes, I'm also in support. I'm one of the candidates, or few candidates, who's actually participated in a development close by the district, and that is on the corner of Summit and Orange Grove, where we had mixed use. We had commercial, restaurant, 4 units to the south of that, and then single family. I developed that whole block there, and I come to this question with experience in terms of finding a solution to a serious problem, and we have demonstrated for all of you to see the results of that at Summit and Orange Grove on the southeast corner. Thank you.
Okay, the next question is going to Nicholas Benson. This is an interesting one, and I'm curious about the answer. What would you do about recycling scavengers? So I think those are people who go through your residential recycling bin. Interesting question.
I didn't think about that question. I'm being honest, and I think it's fair. But I realize that people are looking for food. That's why they go around doing this. So I will have to try to look at this and see what my position will be on it. But I recognize that why they are going into your garbage can is because something is wrong. So I will have to look into that. It's a very sensitive thing, because we live in a society where other people they don't have what we all have. So we have got to be sensitive on that. So I can't just give you a one word, this is what I'll do, I'll put them in jail. I wouldn't do that.
Okay, John Kennedy, what would you do about recycling scavengers?
Well, first I'd just like to share, as I have previously, that I wrote the city's recycling ordinance along with the Deputy City Attorney Nicholas Rodriguez, who is a respected leader also in this community and used to head El Centro de Acción Social. I believe that those individuals who are what you term, or what someone terms scavengers, are folks who are in need in a community. And I certainly would not want to do anything that criminalizes that activity. Trash, anyone can go through trash if it's on the street. And I think what we're watching, observing, is the least in the community is just simply trying to etch out an existence So I would not be supportive of the criminalization of what you have termed scavenging. These people are struggling just to make ends meet, and that's my position.
Okay, Ishmael Trone, recycling scavengers.
The term scavengers isn't appropriate. I don't look at them as scavengers. I look at these individuals as people that are trying to make a living for themselves in the city of Pasadena. We could look at possibly having locked containers, recycling bins, more creation of jobs, possibly reduce the number of recycling centers that we have in the city of Pasadena, concentrate them in a certain area, more programs for homeless. A lot of these individuals are homeless people in the city of Pasadena that are trying to generate funds. So if we can assist them, if we can create more jobs, put more programs out there, then maybe there wouldn't be a dependency for these individuals to be going through trash, getting recyclable items to generate funds for themselves. And let's not forget, we have homeless families out there. So this is a means for them to generate money. So we need to find better ways to work with them so that we don't call them scavengers and just understand what they're truly trying to do to sustain in the city of Pasadena.
Okay. And then our next question is going to John Kennedy first. As you probably know, the Julia Morgan YWCA building has a disposition development agreement on it. That's across from City Hall. It's in your district. What do you think is the best use for that YWCA building?
As you know, the YMCA across the street from the YWCA has single room occupancy units. What I think might be a very appropriate use is that we also have single room occupancy units as a part of the development of the YWCA, and maybe what we would term mixed use. So commercial use on the bottom, and then on the top you would have residential use. I think that would be appropriate, and it would add to the downtown mix of walkability and close to the modality of the transit system on Holly Street. I think that would be wonderful in terms of a new development in the Civic Center.
Okay, Ishmael Trone, what do you think is the best use of the YWCA building?
As the vice chair of the Community Development Committee, I actually had made the recommendation to the City Council to save that facility. It was really being damaged because of water that was coming into that facility. Originally, the city had been trying to purchase that building. The cost was too high, and it's a very historic site. It was going to be used for office space for the city of Pasadena. But through our advocacy for affordable housing, we were able to sway the decision on how to use that facility to turn it to an affordable housing facility. And that's exactly what, it's going to be used for.
Okay, next, the use of the Julia Morgan building.
I would love to see the affordable housing being put in there because we have so many people who need housing in our community. That will be a strategic place because you have the train right there and right downtown in the place. That will be a good one to develop that building to be an affordable house for affordable housing.
Okay. And so the next question, we are starting with Ishmael. And what efforts can the city make to do more local hiring on big projects like Robinson Park?
First thing that the city can do is put more substance into the local hiring ordinance that's out there. It is against the law to require a developer to hire locally, but we do have cities throughout the state of California that have put these types of demands on contractors and developers in order for the people living in their cities to be hired on these projects. So I would put stronger teeth into our local hiring ordinance. Also, I would create a citizens oversight committee together of individuals throughout the city of Pasadena to work with the city manager on all projects that come through the city of Pasadena. We have various commissions in the city of Pasadena, but we do not have one commission that addresses the needs of local hiring in the city of Pasadena. And we need that citizens advisory body that meets on a regular basis to work with our city manager to ensure that every project in the city of Pasadena, before the RFP is established, before the bid is put out there, that local hiring is built into it.
Okay, Nicholas Benson, improving local hiring on big projects.
I think we have dealt with this subject for a long, long time about local hiring. I've been part of the Jack Robinson Center, the grounds there for us to improve that place. And we had people coming in that, taking that project. But very few people in the community were hired. That is one of the things that is really sad. When you see so many projects coming in and the local people are not hired, and at the same time, people come in with their own people and then leave this place with buildings and that sometimes are empty. I think the city need to do something. I understand there are some laws, but the laws are being made by people. And so I will be work very hard with the city council to make sure that people are hired in our communities here, because that's the problem we have right now.
Okay, John Kennedy, local hiring.
So what I think would be appropriate is if we as a community come together and encourage our elected officials, the city council, to establish a committee or commission entitled Pasadena First. Pasadena First, that deals with housing, economic development, quality of life issues, and particularly I'm concerned about that in District 3, Pasadena First. So that committee would report not to city manager, that committee would report to the city council. The city council is the body that develops the policies and the ordinances and the laws that affect this city. So I'm totally in support of local hiring ordinances, and I believe we can put more teeth into the ordinance so it really has more impact related to hiring locally. Thank you.
Okay, the next question, Nicholas Benson will go first. Will you support the proposed change to the city ordinance restricting recycling centers in the city?
Not really. I won't do that, because we've dealt with it for a long time, and there are some agreement that they have made about those people. Those people, if you change it to what? Because those people need to have these things that they are doing right now. I'm not going to change that one.
Okay, John Kennedy, ordinance to change to limit recycling centers in the city.
I think recycling in terms of zero waste policy is extremely important. And I believe I would advocate, no, not I believe, I will advocate as the new city council member for District 3, a zero waste policy. What we need to ensure is that the recycling centers are spread across the city and not concentrated in one particular area of the city. The real issue is zero waste. That's where the city must move to, zero waste policies. That makes the city more livable, reduces pollution, and adds to the quality of life of a community. Zero waste.
Ishmael Trone, a restriction on recycling centers in the city.
There should be restrictions on recycling centers in the city of Pasadena. This is an issue that I have been working on with homeowner associations in District 3 for the past year. It is affecting the quality of life of many residents throughout the city of Pasadena. We have recycling centers that are located directly across the street from liquor stores. So a lot of these individuals frequent these recycling centers, they get their money, they go to the liquor store, they have their drinks, and then the next thing we know, it's spilling over into the neighboring neighborhoods, and it's really causing a bad quality of life for individuals. So, Councilmember Victor Gordo, is already addressing this issue. We're working with Food for Less Management right now to come up with some type of policies on controlling the recycling center at that location. And the other recycling centers are being looked at too. So they need to be centralized in areas where, maybe in light industrial areas throughout the city of Pasadena.
Okay, so the next to last question, and this goes back to a question we had before about affordable housing. Explain the advantages and disadvantages of mixed income housing. So what people are referring to is like the trio apartments that has a bonus for adding low income units into the building as opposed to a building that is all low income. So that one is going to John Kennedy. What do you think of buildings that have low income units in them as opposed to doing an all affordable housing project?
Well, economically, in the city of Pasadena, it is impossible to build only affordable housing unless the city of Pasadena is willing to invest an inordinate amount of taxpayers' dollars to make it happen. So that's why you have a mixed-use development where you have low, very low, and moderate income housing in the development. An example of which is Westgate. It's a wonderful project at Del Mar near the freeway, and friends of mine actually live there who are low, moderate income qualified. So in my view, I'm totally in support of the mixed use. I'm totally in support of the low, moderate income housing in all major developments, housing developments in the city of Pasadena. And particularly, I want them where they are spread out in the city, not concentrated in one particular area of the community.
Okay, Ishmael Trone, what do you think of having developments that include affordable housing units as opposed to an all affordable housing project?
It's definitely needed. I agree with it. It needs to be spread out throughout the city of Pasadena. And there is already a trend in the city of Pasadena of having those mixed-use developments throughout our city. So without being redundant, I agree on it. It's already being spread throughout the city of Pasadena. There are no more redevelopment agencies. Cities in the state of California are trying to figure out how to come up with the funds to continue developing mixed-use developments. We have to have better relationships with the developers. The general plan is going to address it, and we're moving forward towards that trend as a city.
Okay, Nicholas Benson.
No, I do agree with Ishmael on that and Kennedy. We really need to support that development, the mixed use, right through the and low income, right through the city. I will be supporting that.
Okay, so now we go to the last question. We're going to start with Ishmael Trone, and this is before closing statements. What is really different about you than each of the other candidates?
My vision, integrity, inclusionary mindset, the willingness to work with everyone in the district to be progressive, to move forward, my balanced perspective, to be able to work with the individuals north of the 210 freeway and south of the 210 freeway in our district. And being the voice of that constituency base is going to set me apart from the other candidates that are with me today.
Okay, Nicholas Benson, what makes you truly unique from the other candidates?
I think I'm just the same as the other candidate. The only thing is that I care about the people as opposed to just going into the office because I want to be a city council. I care about the spiritual and the lives of the people in our community. And not only that, I'm able to work with all races without any prejudice. That's why I am different than the other candidates that are here.
Okay, John Kennedy, what makes you different from the other candidates?
I love this city where I grew up with my 9 brothers and sisters on Hammond Street, all 12 of us with mother and father in that 2-bedroom house. This is my community. This is my city. This is the district I live in. I'm invested in this community in extraordinary ways, both as a business person as a business leader, as a community advocate, someone who's served the community and wants to take that leadership. When I was president of the NAACP, or chairman of the board of our community hospital, or chair of the Community Development Committee, or chair of the Development Selection Committee for this project. I want to take all of who I am to benefit the citizens, the residents, the people who live in District 3 without respecter of person. We all deserve clean, affordable housing. We all should afford a police department that responds to community needs in a responsible way. I'm the right person. My background recommends me for that position, and I hope you will also.
Okay, so now we will go to closing statements. They will be 3 minutes each. Robbie will keep the clock over here. We are going to start with Nicholas Benson first. Closing statement.
I am running for the city council. I'm asking that you support my candidacy. It is a unique candidacy because I believe we can all together come together and make a difference in this community. I'm not coming to you with a notion that I will do this and that on my own. I will engage the community. I've been into a lot of different groups that I've served in this community. And I will take that experience and the investment that I have already made in this community, bring it together, bring the churches, bring the business community, bring the neighbors, the families, because I'm a family man. Let them get involved into our own community. We will be proud together to work and change this neighborhood. But I cannot do it by myself. We can do it together with the help that each one of you, because I realize that each one of you have expertise. I'll be able to bring those people who have expertise to surround myself so that we can do a greater job together. Thank you.
Next, John Kennedy, closing statement.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank this organization who's put together this forum. This is important where we can really share ideas. Really, this is about a city where we bring people together to solve complex problems. That's what it's really about. It's not about me, it's about us working together to build a better Pasadena. I have a track record of being in this community, serving this community. My family has been here for over 70 years. I am proud of the support I've received from the residents of my district, knocking on their doors daily, taking from 9:30 in the morning to 7:30 at night on Saturdays, just knocking on the doors and really finding out what are the issues that are impacting you. How can I better represent your issues on city council? It's not about me. It's about us working together. I'm proud that Delano Yarborough and Sam Yarborough are supporting me on Washington. I'm proud that Erskine Jackson is supporting me on Prescott Street. I'm proud that Joanne Reed is supporting me on Jackson Street as well. These are folks who live in the district. They understand the needs of the district. They watched a city council member serve for 23 years. I want to build on the good that that city council member did for this community. As I shared with you, I helped him get elected. And now I'm asking you, particularly the citizens and the residents of District 3, to help me be your next city council member. And I promise you this, that you'll have someone who has an open door policy, who will strongly consider the issues that are important to you, will be an advocate, and will know how to add votes. You have to have 5 votes, and you have to have the disposition and track record of bringing people together. My life has demonstrated that I'm that person. I'm proud that Mike Antonovich has endorsed my candidacy. I'm proud that Renata Cooper has endorsed my candidacy. These are local elected officials who have said, we've looked at John, we've looked at the other candidates. The Los Angeles County Federation of Labor, the largest entity of labor in our community, looked at John Kennedy and said, he's the right guy for this community. ACT, A-C-T, I've been a member of ACT for 30 years. Responsible leadership in that organization. They looked at us. The steering committee, the committee that viewed all the candidates and heard from them, said, John Kennedy. William Thompson, the former mayor of the city of Pasadena, a respected leader and head of the Pasadena College Board, said, I am supporting John Kennedy because he supports the residents of District 3. Thank you very much.
Okay, Ishmael Trone, 3 minutes for closing remarks.
This is the first time in 23 years that a new representative will be elected to represent the constituency base for District 3. As I look around those of you that are in attendance right now, all I could think about is how hard we have been working to bring a better quality of life to this community. Many of you that are standing here right now have rolled your sleeves up along with me to bring affordable housing, park renovations, capital improvement projects, and local hiring to this community. It's not about what I'm going to do when I receive a title of city council member. It's not whether I'm going to be accessible or not once I get that position. I've been accessible. I've been here. We have worked together. Councilman Chris Holden asked me to run for city councilman because of the work that he saw me put in to this community when there was no opportunity to run for city council. He knew that I would remain in this community, that the city council position would not be a stepping stone to a higher office or a different career. My family and I have been in this neighborhood on the corner of Orange Grove and Raymond for 44 years serving this community. I will be here. I'm not leaving. You know I love this community. There is a global vision for District 3 that needs to be shared with everyone in this district. Parsons property has been sold. I've met with the Lincoln Investment Group to discuss how we in this community will benefit from that project. How to make the overpass on the 210 freeway safer and softer for pedestrians to cross it, to go to Old Town and patronize one of the largest urban developments that is about to take place right here in our community. The Residence Inn Hotel is going to be developed right across the street from that Parsons property. Chase Bank is trying to come to foot action on the corner of Orange Grove and Fair Oaks. We have the Heritage Square development that's taking place. Affordable housing is already in the pipeline. The commercial part we're sitting in right now. We have a HUD Section 108 loan for Robinson Park, $6 million. The city wants to add another $2 million. There's investors and developers getting in line for that project right now. We have 5 to 6 major projects that are about to take place in our community on Fair Oaks within a quarter of a mile. We have to get focused. We have to work together. We have to make sure that the jobs stay in this neighborhood when those projects take place. I am the person that is going to work with everyone in this community to ensure that it happens. We've been doing it for the last 10 years. We're going to do it for the next 10 years. I'm the best person for the position because you know what I've done with you.
Okay, so that wraps up the candidate forum. I really, really want to thank our sponsors, and I also want to thank the audience for coming and caring about your community and being educated on the issues. So as a League of Women Voters, you can sign up here for memberships. I hope that we exceeded our purpose here in educating the public so you could make an informed vote. And lastly, I want to thank the candidates. It takes a lot to run for city council and to serve the community, and these 3 people have made a decision to try to do that. So now the only last thing that you can do besides get refreshments back there is go out and vote. So thank you for coming.